Hello and welcome to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. My name is Issachar Bey and I am the founder. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Please, if you have not done so already, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if this is your first time tuning into our channel, please let us know what city, what state, what country you're listening in from. We are extremely delighted to have your presence. We want to thank everybody for their consistency. We are here every week, same place, same time. So please subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified of when we're going to be on and when we will be available. You can go through our archives and listen to some of our past lectures and hope that you are able to receive some great information, great elevation, and great transformation. It is our intention that you do not walk away the same way you came in, that there's some kind of a transformation, there's a change after listening to these teachings. And so we are forever grateful. I also want to say to all of you who have been consistently supporting us financially, we want to thank everybody for helping out. It is a great asset to us to help us financially with everything that we're doing with the marketing, and we having a website built and rebuilt, and a lot of things are going on. So I want to thank all of you. We're putting out a book, so all of your help. No matter how little, no matter how great, it helps us out a lot, and we want to say thank you. We are forever grateful. This week, I want to very quickly get into our lesson for today. If we can, go ahead and get into a quiet place and let us quiet our minds, quiet the outside noise, whatever distraction, whatever discord that may be going on, that we separate and find a quiet place that we could tap in and that we can become self-centered. And as you find that place, go ahead and take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. Once again, inhale and exhale. There is a divine intelligence moving through every person, every circumstance, every moment. That intelligence has endowed humanity with one of the most powerful gifts imaginable, the ability to choose. Choice is not merely a psychological preference. Choice is a spiritual instrument. It is the faculty through which the invisible becomes visible. Every experience in life begins as a decision in consciousness. Before there is action, there is intention. Before there is manifestation, there is selection. Right now, we recognize that we are not victims of circumstances, but participants in creation. We acknowledge that the mind we use to make choices is connected to infinite wisdom. Therefore, we open ourselves to clarity, insight, and understanding. We affirm that every idea presented today activates a deeper awareness within us. We affirm that we possess the power to choose wisely, to think clearly, and to live different, and to live deliberately. And so we accept the moment as a sacred opportunity to awaken to the invisible blueprint behind every decision. And so it is, and so it is. Today, I want to talk from the subject, the power of choice. The invisible blueprint behind every decision. The power of choice. The invisible blueprint behind every decision. I came into this many, many years ago. I was introduced to the works, to the theory of Professor William Glasser. You guys can go and Google this and look him up. He was a professor. His name was Professor William Glasser, and he believed in the choice theory. And he believed that we operate based on our need, and based on what we need, we choose certain things based on the necessity of our needs. And he basically talked about the choice theory and how powerful it was to be able to choose. And I want to look at that because I think that in this day and time, the choices we make are very vital. It's extremely important that we understand the importance of our choices. For every action, there's always a reaction. And for every choice that we make, there's always going to be a repercussion to that choice. And so, making the right choice, making the great choice, making the wisest choice, but understanding the power to make the choice, I believe is important. And I want to look at this because everybody listening to me right now, you have to make some choices in life. As a matter of fact, you have to make some choices this year in 2026. And based on those choices, your life will move in a certain direction based on the choices you make. Many people move through life believing that circumstances control them. They assume that their environment, upbringing, or past determines their future. Philosophy teaches us something radically different. Your life is not determined by your circumstances. Your life is determined by your interpretation. Ladies and gentlemen, your interpretation is a choice. Oh, let me say that again. Your life is not determined by circumstance. Your life is determined by interpretation. And that interpretation is a choice. Every moment of life presents crossroads. Some crossroads are dramatic, others are quiet and suitable. But every crossroad contains the same hidden power, the ability to choose your response. The moment you realize that your response shapes your reality, life becomes a different experience altogether. You are no longer drifting through events. You become the architect of experience. Choice is the doorway through which destiny enters the world. Let me say that again. Choice is the doorway through which destiny enters the world. You know, ladies and gentlemen, choice is so important because many of us don't think we have a choice. We let somebody else choose for us. I want you to walk away today understanding your power to choose. You don't have to stay in the relationship that you're in. You don't have to stay in the living conditions or the environment that you're in. Some of you would say, well, I don't have a choice. What do you mean you don't have a choice? You have the power to choose. You don't have to be in the circumstances that you're in right now. You have the power to choose. I want you to think about this. I want you to walk away today understanding your power to choose. Because once you realize the power to choose, you understand that It's your response that shapes your reality. Life becomes a different experience altogether. You become the architect of your experience. How do I become the architect of my experience? By the choices that you make. Imagine a house being built. Before a single brick is laid, there is a blueprint. That blueprint determines the structure, the layout, the dimensions, and the design of the building. Your decisions function exactly the same way. Every choice you make becomes the blueprint for the experience that follows. If you choose fear, life organizes around fear. If you choose courage, life organizes around courage. If you choose growth, life begins presenting opportunities for growth. Your choices are not random mental events. They are spiritual instructions sent into the universe. Listen, every choice you make becomes a blueprint for the experiences that follow. So you got to put yourself in a position to win, ladies and gentlemen, because you no longer want to be in the situation that I'm in. If you listen, they say if you keep doing the same thing that you've been doing day by day, hour by hour, month by month, year by year, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen, they call that insanity. They call it insanity. So if that in fact is true, then me doing the same thing, expecting something different doesn't work for me. So what I have to do is I have to do something different. I have to choose. And once I make a choice, then now I begin to become an architect of my future experiences based on the choices I make. But many of us don't realize the power of choices we have. We don't see that power to choose. And we think that because of our circumstances and because of what we are, we have to be in the position that we're in, and we have to be there, not knowing that all we have to do is make a choice. And by making a choice, we can change the trajectory of our lives. Most people think that a choice happens only in action. So when I'm telling you that you need to make a choice, many of you are thinking, well, I can't make a choice. The situation I'm in, I'm in this situation. This is what I'm dealing with, and what kind of choice could I make? Because I'm already in the situation, I don't see how I can get out of the situation I'm in. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that there's three levels to decision making. Let me say this. Genocide is known to be the definition, to be defined by one who kills a generation. Suicide can be defined by one that kills oneself. When you decide, you kill all other options and you make a decision on that particular one that you're going to do. I want to talk about real quickly and look at this, the three levels of decision making, because I believe that the power to decide, to kill all other options, is a very special power that we need to amplify. The choice of thought. What will I believe about this situation? Number two, the choice of emotion. How will I feel about what is happening? Number three, the choice of action. What behavior will I express? Every outcome in life is born from these three levels of choices. The person who masters these levels become a conscious creator rather than an unconscious reactor. The person who can master the three levels of decision making, the choice of thought, the choice of emotion, and the choice of action. The person who can master those three becomes the conscious creator and the architect and begins to create their experiences and create their lives. Rather than the unconscious reactor, which is the person who just reacts to everything. The person who's saying, how can I get out of this situation? I can't choose. There's nothing for me to choose. I'm just in this situation. And some people feel powerless because they feel like, I'm in this situation. How can I get out of this situation? What choice can I make? If choice is so powerful, why do so many people feel powerless? Because many people give away their power without realizing it. They say things like, I have no choice. But we know that that's not true at all. Even when circumstances are difficult, the response remains within our control. The mind always retains the power to interpret, to reframe, and to redirect. Power, Powerlessness is not a condition of life. It is a condition of perception. Your perception on your situation. Because they always say when you get tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you would make a change. But I don't believe that we should have to wait until that. We shouldn't have to wait till things get so bad. We shouldn't have to wait till things get hard. We shouldn't have to wait until all of these things happen. I believe that we're in a situation and a circumstance now where we can now be elevated and now we can lift up and make the changes based on our power to choose. The power to choose. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I I lived in Brooklyn till I was about 26. I think I was 26. In February of 2005, I got married on February 7th. And in April of that same year, 2005, I relocated to Las Vegas, Nevada. I made a choice. I didn't know anybody in Vegas. I didn't have any connections. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything set up. So I went to Vegas. I made a choice. And when I made that choice and I got there, I began to connect with a lot of people. I began to build it was in Las Vegas that the Temple of Enlightenment began in the year 2008. And so we began having in-person services, and we began to teach, and it was a phenomenal time. That choice of me moving to Las Vegas changed the trajectory of my life because it introduced me to a whole new world. It introduced me to a whole new stratosphere of my life trajectory. I new people, new circumstances, a new location, a new city, a new state, and I was able to learn and grow and evolve. But I made a choice. Years went by, and I was no longer married, and I came to another time, and I said, you know what? I want to move to San Antonio, Texas. I made another choice, and I moved to San Antonio, Texas. Guess what? Same thing. I didn't know anybody in San Antonio. I didn't have any connections. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything set up. And so I moved to San Antonio, Texas, and lo and behold, everything happens again. I meet people, I grow, I expand, I learn the city, I learn the state of Texas. I begin to learn the land and learn the people of the land and learn their culture and begin to intertwine and begin to grow and meet people and begin to make friends and begin to establish myself. And so once again, I made a choice. I made a choice. Nobody pushed me. Nobody made me. I made the choice to do those things. I made the choice to leave Brooklyn, New York. I made the choice to leave Las Vegas and go to San Antonio. I made the choice. And that choice was a good choice. I believe every choice I've made have been good. I've never regretted any choice that I've made. But one of the things I'm glad, ladies and gentlemen, is that I never did not make the choice. I never want to look back over my life and say I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I shoulda did that. I woulda did that. I wish I would have did that. I want to be in a position that whatever choice I want to make, I make that choice because I want to change the trajectory of my life, and I want to grow, and I want to expand, and I want to move to a better place, and I want to expand my territory. And so that's what I was looking at. That's what I was looking at. And so when you begin to make a choice in life, you're going to see how things unfold when you make choices. Those choices I made weren't easy choices to make. You know, some people say, I don't know how you did it. You didn't know anybody. You didn't have any connections. You didn't have anything set up. Um, but and so it's just making the choice. And when you make a choice, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like when you make that choice, I feel like everything in you as an architect begins to shape your world. I feel like everything falls into place. Everything. I'm in a position now, right now as we speak. I believe that this year is going to be a great year for me, and I'm making choices. And the choices that I'm making, I've never made before. And it's not a choice to move or anything like that, but it's a choice in my profession, in what I'm doing here at the Enlightenment Center, something that I've never done before. And so by me putting myself in that position, I believe that everything will fall into place. I believe that the universe will take care of me. Why? Because it hasn't let me down before. The universe always takes care of me, always. And I tell people that all the time. When you step into the right place at the right time and you make the choice and you become the architect over your life, ladies and gentlemen, things will fall into place. There is one decision that transforms a person's entire life. That decision is the moment you decide to take responsibility for your consciousness. When you accept that your thoughts, beliefs, and interpretations shape your reality, everything changes. Yes, when I accept the thoughts, the beliefs, and the interpretations that shape my reality, everything begins to change. Everything changes. The blame disappears. The victimhood dissolves, and the new identity emerges. The creator. Responsibility is not a burden; it's a freedom. Listen, people say all the time, uh, we come into the victimhood of things. We want to play victims of everything. But let me explain this to you. Anybody who's 18 years and younger, you are still under your parents' parental guidance. Or I would say 17. Well, really 18 too. You're under your parents' parental guidance. But anytime you become an adult, you are now on your own. When you're under your parental's guidance, yes, you are in what we call the victimhood, because you're not making decisions. Your parents are your legal guardians. They are making decisions for you, and based on their decisions, you have to act accordingly. But when you become an adult and you stand on your own, you move from victim to volunteer, which means that whatever you deal with in life, you volunteered based on the choices that you made. And so when you look at your life, why is my life full of drama? Why is my life full of discord? Why is my life full of just always discombobulated? And why is my life always full of just all of this drama? And when we look at it, we look at the people you hang with. We look at the conversation you have all the time. We look at the stuff you watch on TV. We look at what you're feeding your thoughts, what you're feeding your mind, your brain. We look at your environment. And while you're in that environment, while you're in that, you've been in it so long that you don't see the dysfunction of it. And so now you'll say to yourself, I don't understand, why I'm in this position, but you have to make a choice, because you can make a choice and get out of that anytime you want to. You don't have to play the victim because you volunteered to be in that situation. I see women who are in abusive relationships and they are afraid to leave because they feel like they're the victim. But you volunteered to be in that position. You can leave. Fear, false evidence appearing real, has you afraid to make a choice. Because if you get up and make that choice, I believe that everything within you, everything that you need to make that move will happen. And you will make it the right way, and you will do it the way that it needs to be done to protect you and your family. But you can't be afraid to make choices and then wallow in the victimhood of your situation. And so, but the reason I'm bringing up the women in those relationships is that anybody who's in a relationship that's like that, and you feel like you're stuck, I would tell you to make the choice. And I know it's not a easy choice to make. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of things that comes in those particular choices. But I want you to know that if you are in a situation like that, and you do need somebody to help you, reach out to us. Reach out to the Temple of Enlightenment. I would love to get on the call with you and talk to you about some things regarding that, because I want to get you out of the victimhood, and I want you to realize you're in volunteer mode. And once you get out of that and realize about the volunteer mode, there's a couple of things that begin to change, because what happens now is you realize that there's more to life than this. How long am I going to stay in this situation? How long am I going to stay in this circumstance? I believe it's time for me to make a shift. I think it's time for me to move out of this situation. Because once I accept my thoughts, beliefs, once I accept that my thoughts, my beliefs, and interpretations shape my reality, everything changes. Once you believe that, everything changes, because now you realize you have the power. You realize that this person outside of you, you were giving this person all the power. But once you believe that your thoughts and beliefs and interpretations shape your reality, you now realize that you have the power and you can get out of that situation. But no matter what situation you're in, ladies and gentlemen, you can get out of it. I believe that. I believe it. I believe that no matter what situation you're in, based on a choice, just make a choice. And once you make a choice, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that that choice, the power to choose. Many people, do you know how many people have never made a choice? They've let the government tell them what to do. They'll let their parents tell them what to do. They'll let their lovers, their best friends, their brothers and sisters, their aunts and uncles, they'll let their children, they'll let everybody else tell them what to do. They've never made a choice on their own. Hey, Jimmy, what do you think we should do about this? Hey, Jan, what do you think I should do about this? They've never made a choice. The power to choose is very powerful, ladies and gentlemen. And when you understand you have that power, you never give that power away. You never let somebody else make the choice or decide for you. You know, when I'm doing consultations, um, there are two times in life when I feel that people are at crossroads. And in the astrological science of astrology, it's called the Saturn return. And you have them every 29 years. So you have one at age 29, and then you usually have another one at age 59, 60. The first one that you have is really a time when you have to make a decision on what am I doing with my life when you get to 29, right? And I usually tell people when you go through your Saturn return and you have to, it's like you're going through a crossroads and there's a fork in the road and you have to decide, am I going to go left or right? Whatever side you decide to take, you want to make sure that you focus on you and that you are making the choice for you, not your family, not your friends, but that the decision you make is going to benefit you. And so that's why I believe that it's very important that we understand the power to choose. When you get to your second side of return, those of you that are 59, 60 years old, I call those now the golden years, because I believe that at 59, 60, this is the time for you to reap what you have sown, to eat the fruit of your labor. This is a good time you're getting ready to get into your retirement. You're getting ready to get into a place where you want to relax and enjoy life. You worked all of these years. You have kids. You have grandkids. And so you're going into your early 60s, 65s, and you're getting ready to come down into the retirement aspect. And so you may want to travel. You may want to enjoy life. You're getting into a place now where you really don't want to get into a place of struggle and hardship. And so you have to make a decision on, what do I need to do to enjoy this next chapter of my life? And you have to make a decision based on you again. And both of these are the Saturnian returns, right? The Saturn returns, which inflicts us about structure and maturity and so forth. And so I think in that regard, in that example that I'm giving you, I'm saying that to say that the power to choose, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely powerful and it is extremely important. It's extremely important that you understand that you have the power to choose. Think of life as a navigation system. Every decision you make moves you in a new direction. Some decisions move you towards growth. Some move you towards stagnation. But every decision sets a new course. That means the future is not a mystery. The future is a direction. If you want to know where your life is going, look at the decisions you are making today. Listen, I want everybody who's listening to this, when you're done listening to this today, uh, go and get a book, a journal, and write down decisions. Call it your decision book. And I want you to start getting a book where you start to make decisions. When you write down what's the situation and what decision are you going to make, what choice are you going to make to change the trajectory of your life. Get you a decision book. Listen, I'm telling you, it's going to be phenomenal. Because in the decision making process, you start to learn, and I think what we're going to do over the next few weeks is we're going to talk about decision making. I'm going to really get into this because I think that the knowledge, the wisdom of decision making is extremely important. And the more you work with it, the more you use it, the more that you stand in it, the more it begins to grow and the more that you begin to trust your decision making process. But more importantly, when you start working with that, ladies and gentlemen, watch this, you start to see your life begin to change by the choices, the decisions you made. And you start to say, wait a minute, you know what? Oh man, I did make a decision to go this way instead of that way. And look what happened. You know, I made another choice to go that way instead of this way. And look what happened. I decided not to no longer interact with that person anymore. And look what happened. You know, and so you start to see the power of your choices, the power of making decisions, and how it really catapults your life into a whole new regime. And so we want to make sure that we understand that every decision you make moves you into a new direction. Some decisions move you towards growth. Some decisions will move you toward stagnation. But every decision sets a course. That means the future is not a mystery. The future is a direction. If you want to know where your life is going, look at the decisions you are making today. If you want to know where your life is going, ladies and gentlemen, look at the decisions you are making today. What decisions are you making today? Those decisions that you make today are going to determine your tomorrow. People who start investing in the stock market, it's letting you know that they're investing for a return on their investment, which means that they're making a decision that, yes, I'm putting this money into the stock market and I'm investing, but down the road, the long-term view of this, I'm looking for a return on my investment. I'm looking to maximize my investments. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's important because look at the decisions you're making today. You know what? You know what some of you are going to say? I haven't made any decisions. I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for the last 6 years. I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for the last 3 years. We haven't made any decisions. We just go with the flow. We get up, we go to work, we come home. We get up, we go to work, we come home. We get up, we go to work, come home. That's all we do. We don't make decisions. We don't make choices. But if you want to know where your life is going, ladies and gentlemen, you got to look at the decisions you made. And if you didn't make any decisions, it's no greater time than the present for you to start making decisions now. Winning in life requires conscious decision making. Ladies and gentlemen, here at the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, we are winners. We have a winner's consciousness. What do you mean by that, Issachar? That means winners will always win and losers will always lose. Winning is not about just winning a board game or winning a card game. Winning is a level of consciousness. When you have a consciousness of winning, you understand what it means to win, and you start to have thoughts. You start to have your imagination begins to come together, and you begin to come up to ways because you are a winner, which means every situation and circumstance in your life allows you to win. Listen, I'm an astrologer, ladies and gentlemen, and what I do is when people come to me, I look at their natal chart. Why? Because their natal chart shows me the hand that they were dealt in life. It shows me the hand that they were dealt. But not only does it show me the hand that they were dealt, it shows me how they played that hand to win in the game of life. So when you come to me, I show you what you're equipped with. I showed you what cards you were dealt. It doesn't matter how good your hand is or how bad your hand is. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The only thing that matters is how well you play the hand. And that's where I come in. I show you how to play your hand to win. To win in the game of life. Winners will always win. Losers will always lose. Winning is a level of consciousness. The winning consciousness. You've got to be a winner. And when you're a winner, you understand things differently. Because let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes when you lose, you win, and sometimes when you win, you lose. Take that and stick with it for a moment. Sometimes when you lose, you win, and sometimes when you win, you lose. Take that. Because winning is not always about just winning the card game. But listen, I will say this. I don't believe in taking a loss in life. When you are a winner, you take lessons. We don't take losses. We take lessons. And you understand the winning mindset, the winning level of consciousness. Tomorrow, as we start this new week, everybody get you a book, a decision-making book. I'm going to get one myself. I'm preaching to the choir. And I'm going to start writing down the decisions that I'm going to make today that will catapult and show me where my life is going. Where is my life is going? Based on the decisions that I'm making today. I got to make decisions. It's decision-making time. And when I make my decisions, I understand that the decisions I make today are going to catapult me for tomorrow. Now, when we talk about winning, ladies and gentlemen, I want to just go over this brief example. Today, this afternoon, after you guys finish listening to this today, the Oscars will be coming on. The Oscars are the biggest awards for movie, film, television, streaming, so forth. It is the biggest honor. Tonight, the Oscars will come on. I'm especially rooting for Michael B. Jordan and the whole Sinners cast. If you haven't seen the movie Sinners, it's a great film. There are a lot of great films. The Leonardo DiCaprio film with Tiana Taylor is great. There's a lot of great films. I'm just rooting for Sinners. The reason I'm bringing this example up is because when you start listening to these actors who are being nominated tonight, and you listen to what they had to go through to get to this place where they're going to be tonight, how many auditions they got turned down for, how many times they came close to getting the role and then was denied, or maybe they shot the pilot for a TV show and the pilot never made it, so it was canceled. Them sleeping on somebody else's couch, the different things that they had to go through. Why? Because they had a winning mentality, ladies and gentlemen. They never took no for an answer. They never let anybody stop them. Winners will always win. Losers will always lose. You have to have a winning consciousness. Winning. And so when we look at life from the inside, we see how things transpire and how things happen. Many decisions are influenced by unconscious beliefs formed in childhood. Beliefs about money, beliefs about relationships, beliefs about success. The good news is this: beliefs are not permanent. Though they are choices, listen to this, they are choices that have been repeated long enough to feel automatic. The moment you begin choosing new beliefs, the blueprint of your life begins to change. The moment I begin to choose a new belief, that blueprint begins to change. And that's what I want. I don't want to be afraid of success. I don't want to be afraid of exceeding and being great and being famous or being of great notoriety and so forth. I don't want to be afraid of money. I want to be open to receiving money. And so with those things being said, you may have to make some decisions. So in your decision book, you may have to make some decisions about your money. You may have to make some decisions about your relationship. Those of you that are married, those of you that are in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, you may have to make some decisions about your relationship, because remember that the decisions you make will determine the direction your life is going in. So you need to sit down and talk to your partner and say, hey, listen, we have to make some decisions. Some decisions have to be made because I need my life to move in a certain direction. I need to move in a certain plateau, a certain level, and there's some decisions that need to be made. We need to sit down and have a discussion. We need to talk. There's some things that we need to talk about because I need to sit down and talk to you. I'm getting ready to go to the next level. I'm getting ready to elevate, and I need to know, are you going to be willing to go with me? Is this something that we're going to need to do together? Because I'm a winner. And winners always win. Things inside of you begin to change. Your appetite, your desires will begin to change. Why? Because you're changing. You're changing your belief system. Choices compound over time. A single decision may seem small, but repeated decisions create momentum. Daily decisions about discipline create success. Daily decisions about health create vitality. Daily decisions about learning create wisdom. Life is not shaped by one dramatic choice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is shaped by thousands of small ones. So that's why I'm telling you guys to go get your decision-making book and start making the small, minor changes, because those small, minor decisions that you're going to make are going to catapult into the big changes and the big momentum that you're going to be doing in order to make the moves that you need to make. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that's very important, because if you look over your life and you look at some of the decisions that have taken place, you have to really look at, how can I become a master of my choices? The ultimate goal is living in mastery of consciousness. Mastery means, watch this, choosing your thoughts deliberately, choosing your interpretations wisely, choosing your actions intentionally. When you reach this level of awareness, life becomes a creative process rather than a struggle. When you realize something extraordinary, you are not merely living your life, you are designing it. When you reach the level of awareness, life becomes a creative process rather than a struggle. Listen, when you realize that you are making or stepping in the power to make a choice, life becomes a creative process rather than a struggle. You realize something extraordinary. You are not merely living your life, you are designing it. After the instrument you use to design it, and check this out, the instrument that you use to design it is choice. The instrument that you use to design your life is choice. I made a choice. I made a choice. How many know a decision to know to stop drinking a lot of juices with sugar and drink water will change something in you? Choices. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the power to choose. We have the power to choose. And when you start operating in that power to choose and you start walking in that consciousness, your vocabulary, your structure of thinking, how you talk, how you walk will begin to be transformed in a powerful way that you will be able to say stuff like, I recognize that every decision shapes the direction of my life. I choose thoughts that empower and uplift me. I am the architect of my destiny through conscious choice. My decisions align with wisdom, clarity, and purpose. Every choice I make moves me towards a greater version of myself. I release the illusion of powerlessness and embrace my creative authority. My mind is disciplined, focused, and intentional. I choose courage over fear and growth over comfort. Every day I make decisions that support my highest vision. My choices create a life of success, fulfillment, and meaning. I trust my inner wisdom to guide my decisions. My thoughts are choices build my thoughts and choices build a powerful future. I am free to redesign my life through new decisions. Every moment offers a new opportunity to choose greatness. I choose actions that align with my purpose. My decisions attract opportunities and abundance. I think clearly, choose wisely, and act boldly. The power of choice lives within me. My choices create a life I am proud to live. Today, I choose the path of growth, courage, and victory. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted us to go over this today because I felt that it was extremely important that we understood the power of choice, the invisible blueprint behind every decision. This is extremely important. This year is going to be a year where we're going to need this information. We're going to need this wisdom because we need to make choices. We need to make decisions. And based on those choices and decisions we make, it's going to catapult us and put us where we need to be and which direction our lives are going. You could tell by a person's decision where their life is going. We already know that. We know that. You see a young man on the corner selling drugs, hanging out with the wrong crowd. We know based on his decisions where his life is going, either dead or in jail. And so if we know that, ladies and gentlemen, let's be very conscious of our power to choose and begin to choose and make the choices that are going to benefit us and put us in a better position in life, to elevate us and to upgrade us and to uplift us. And so I wanted you to have that today. I wanted you to go back and listen to this. If you found out this message was great and you loved it and you said, man, Issachar, this is phenomenal. I have so many people that need to hear this. Great. Go ahead and hit the share button. When you hit the share button, copy the link, email it to them, text it to them, and say, hey, listen, you need to subscribe. You need to join this community. This guy is amazing. He's on fire. And you need to hear what he's saying. I want to thank all of you for your consistency. I want to thank all of you, those of you who have been helping us out financially. I have a lot of things we're working on that will be soon put out. As I said, we're working on rebranding our site. We have a book coming out. So many things are happening behind the scenes, and it's your financial donations that help us to do that. It's your financial donations that help us to market ourselves and get people. As you can see, I've been doing things with the thumbnails. We're getting our marketing guys together, people who are helping us to design and try to make our community more appealing, so to speak. So all of your financial, everything that you're doing is helping us out. I want to thank everybody. Listen, if you want to be a blessing to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, if you want to donate, you want to sow a seed into this ministry, you can look in the bottom of the description of this this lecture, and the information of ways to give is in the bottom of the description. There's many different ways that you can give. Also, we want to put this out into the universe. Everybody that sows a seed, everybody that donates to this ministry, we speak it into existence that everything you touch in this year of 2026, everything that you set your hands to do will be made manifest, and that you will receive a hundredfold return. We speak it into existence, and so it is. And so I want to thank everybody for your consistency. We have a new moon coming up on the 18th, and this is going to be a time for you to receive what the universe is going to be giving out. And this is a good time also, ladies and gentlemen, for you to begin to make these decisions that you're making. And it's good that these decisions will correlate with the new moon that will happen at 28 degrees of Pisces. And so it's a good opportunity for you to receive, to take in what the universe is bringing to you, and take in what the universe is going to be. This is a time to receive. And so we are honored for that. I also want to let you guys know that on the 20th of March, Mercury will go direct. So all of you that have been having issues with electronics, with cars, with anything mercurial, Mercury retrograde will be over on March 20th, and we will be going forward. So I know you guys are happy about that. I just wanted to give you an update on that. And I want to let you know this one thing, that your destiny is not a matter of chance, but it's a matter of choice. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.